All right, guys, welcome back to the Texags NCAA 2014 Tournament on the Ocho. This is our Final Four show. We had some great games over the weekend, and we're going to talk about those. So this week's episode is brought to you by broken Xbox controllers, which played prominently into our weekend, something we've all experienced. The first region we'll talk about actually involves this controller. This is the North. Wisconsin won in what was a decent game starting off, and then there was a forfeit. And we have a statement actually from the Oklahoma State coach, Cactus Jack. He said, Wisconsin defeated Oklahoma State last night by the score of 14-0. The game was called early. With the score 7-0, Coach Gundy banged his shin on the coffee table, knocking an adult beverage onto his new rug. He got mad, got distracted because he was mad, and threw an interception into quadruple coverage. We've all been there. He then shattered his only Xbox 360 controller into approximately 14 pieces. Wisconsin easily scored a touchdown against a defense fielded by the computer. Unable to continue, Gundy stated, "I'm a man, I'm forfeiting." This morning, he stepped on a tiny shard of plastic, which he had to pull out with tweezers. It hurt. So that's our statement from the coach. Obviously talking about his forfeit. So let's talk a little bit about this region and this game. What did you guys think about how this played out and what may have happened had there been no forfeit?
First of all, T&P to Coach Gundy and his sore foot and broken controller. It's a tough one, a tough way to lose. But like Adam said, we've all been there. I've gone through a number of broken controllers or shattered pieces of glass in our living room. So it happens. But as far as the game goes, I think it didn't last much into the second quarter. Like you said, there was a couple of turnovers, one big one right before the incident. And that's pretty much what decided this game. But if you blinked, you kind of missed it. Not a whole lot to talk about from a game perspective, except turnovers were the name of the game. And that's what decided everything here.
Yeah, I think the lesson here that I learned a long time ago in my teenage years is to always have something soft around when you're playing a game. You can throw the controller at a pillow or something like that. But yeah, I think if they played this game over again, it is anybody's ball game. I think Oklahoma State did a lot of good things in the tournament. And Wisconsin just got out to a big lead early. If you continue that game, Wisconsin probably wins because of the momentum. So it was a fair outcome, I think. But yeah, always keep something soft around.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep something soft around. I've lost more deposits due to holes in walls than I want to admit during my time in college, whether it be an apartment or a house. So I definitely feel Oklahoma State's pain here. It actually sucks because this probably would end up being a really good game. But that's kind of how it goes when things get out of hand so quickly and things just kind of take a turn as they did right there. That's how you end up with broken controllers and or TVs or walls or windows or, whatever's nearest. So, Wisconsin moves on. Like I said, I think it would have been a good game had it been played out, but it's just how it goes sometimes. So
I do want to say that respect to Cactus Jack for posting that.
He has I probably would have not said anything.
I'm a man, I'm forfeiting is probably one of my new go-to sayings.
That's pretty good. And hopefully the rug survived. It sucked to lose a new rug to something like that. So
adult problems, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, Cactus Jack opened with a forfeit and ended with a forfeit. Is that right?
That is true.
Wow.
Bookended.
So he played 5 total quarters in the tournament and got pretty damn far in doing it. So kudos to him.
All the turntables.
All right, let's shift our attention to the West. Obviously, we had a game here. So number 1 seed Huskers take down the 3 seed Horns.
Yeah, so this game was close, I think, throughout, competitive at least, for the most part. Nebraska took a 14-point lead early, never relinquished much off that lead throughout the game, but Texas stayed in there, kept fighting throughout, and kept it at least competitive to a point where you thought there was a chance a couple things swing their way. They had an opportunity to get a couple of turnovers maybe and make a closer game out of it and take it down to the wire. But in the end, the Nebraska offense just was too much for Texas's defense to overcome, and it pulled through. I think the final score was 38-21. So kind of maintained that 2-score advantage throughout after taking that early lead.
Yeah, this isn't the West final we all wanted, but it's the West final that we got. Fortunately, we did not have to witness a Texas team in the Final Four. Nebraska gets its revenge in a rematch of the Big 12 championship. This one through, I'd say that Nebraska probably had control of it the whole way through. But regardless, the score was close, and a mistake here or there by Nebraska could have easily swung the momentum. But good job by Nebraska to get. Okay, so after some technical difficulties, as I was saying, it's not the final in the West that we wanted, but it's the final that we got. We had Nebraska versus Texas, and fortunately, Nebraska came out on top. Nothing against the coach for Texas. He played a good game, actually. This game was kind of in control by Nebraska the whole time, but the score was close, and it could have gone south for Nebraska quickly with a mistake here or there. But good job, Nebraska, making it through. Got a little revenge for the Big 12 championship. And fortunately, we don't have to see Texas advancing anymore through this bracket.
Your
That's
boys husk their corn.
It's debatable. We're still eating strings over here.
I was going to say no strings, but fine.
There's less strings, but there's definitely some strings. It was a great game. We got out to an early lead and got a little complacent, I think, and let the Longhorns hang around. And so still got some strings to work out. People of Nebraska are not eating plump Nebraska corn yet. We just have to finalize some things and get all those strings gone, and that's what we're going to do. We definitely are really proud of the way our offensive line and running game worked. That was our bread and butter that we leaned on, and that's why we were successful.
You're never going to get all those strings out.
All right, let's shift over to the East. We had another matchup of birds. This was a very bird-heavy bracket, as we talked about earlier. But number sevens are wild, upsets the number 1 overall seed in their bracket.
Yeah, so this was a great game. It came down to the wire. It came down to a drive where Louisville had the ball with a chance to take the lead with a minute left in the game. Unfortunately for them, it was intercepted in the end zone, and that was all she wrote as South Carolina took a knee and finished the game off. I have 42-39 as the final score. Just overall impressive performance from South Carolina. Again, we've kind of harped on that throughout the entire tournament, that they've upset Clemson, then they beat Miami. Like, they just ran their way through their bracket as a 7 seed. And, whether or not the committee gave them any respect or not, they didn't care. They just came out and won. So they finish it off in the East with upsetting the number 1 seed, Louisville Cardinal, and move on to the Final Four.
Yeah, South Carolina definitely takes the cake for Cinderella's story of the tournament, and good job by them. I'm impressed with just their all-around gameplay. Defense is unique, and looks like it's hard to play against in a tournament style game. So, I look forward to seeing the next round matchup and how they make their adjustments for what they get to see going forward.
Cody, how do you see your future opponent?
So this is a situation where we typically blast committee for a terrible seeding job, but I can't here because I would have picked Louisville as the number 1 seed here. We could say whatever we want about South Carolina, but they were a little bit of an unknown. This win, if you showed me at the beginning of the bracket, I would have been shocked. But watching South Carolina's past games against their previous opponents, actually having played against their previous opponents, South Carolina has showed that they're a very strong team. And going into this game, they were probably an even matchup for a Louisville team that has a really good coach, especially offensively. I will say South Carolina defensively has an uncanny ability, especially along the defensive line, of knowing whether or not it's a pass or a run, and they're not too keen on rushing the passer. They're more keen on having 11 defenders defend the ball. So they, like I said, like Chris said, unique defense that has brought them all the way to the Final Four. So definitely a challenge in this last matchup, but looking forward to playing them. It'll be a unique style of defense.
Well, spoiler alert as we go to the South. And who won that game.
I didn't do it.
It's all right. So, focusing our attention here on the South, the number 1 overall seed Gators take down a scrappy Auburn team. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, offense. It was 63-51. Florida beats Auburn, and honestly, if things have gone different, the scores might have been the 70s if Auburn was able to hold serve just a little bit longer. Just crazy offense. I don't remember what the score was at halftime, but I want to say it was in the 40s.
It was in the 40s.
So you were thinking it could be in the 80s by the time it was over. Just a crazy offensive game that Florida was able to make the one stop before Auburn was. And so they were able to pull away and get a big victory.
So I've played both of these users before. If I didn't know who was who when watching this game, I wouldn't be able to tell apart each player. It was a mirror image of each other. The play calling, the routes that were being run, the passes that were being thrown. It was 4 verts down the field every other play. Big runs, big catches. It was everything you'd want in a Big 12 style offensive game. Really exciting to watch, and that's what brings in the viewers and the money into some of these conferences, and that's what they want to see. So good job, guys.
Yeah, so this certainly wasn't the 2013 SEC style of play. This was more 2020 Alabama style of play here. This was, like Ryan and Chris both alluded to, a heavy offensive game. There were a lot of key plays in this one. The biggest may have come in the first play of the game. Florida was able to get some pressure on Auburn and actually forced a sack fumble that was recovered by Florida, giving them the ball right around the 6. And Florida scored on the next play. And that, I'm not going to say it was the difference in the game, but it certainly put Auburn behind in this game, kind of playing catch up the whole way through. Knowing how T. Carlo plays, having played him before, I knew this was going to be a crazy offensive game. I try to play defense as best I can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then there's just some users where you just try to contain however you can. And that's kind of how this one ended up. We made that one big stop very early in the game, first play of the game. And then there was a play, I can't remember exactly how it happened, late in the fourth quarter. Basically, I made a
pick or two, right?
I think it was a pick. Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it went. There were so many possessions, so many touchdowns. It's hard to go back and actually recap that game as it should be. But yeah, lots of points and just a great game. Gave me all I wanted offensively. So happy to have made it out for sure.
114 points scored in this game. FYI, that's massive.
If I was going to set an over/under before the game, it probably would have been around 110 or so. So I don't think that's too. I don't think that's too far off.
So in the last 25 years, we've seen some pretty awesome press conferences from Florida coaches, but I don't know if anyone has ever referred to themselves in the first, second, and third person in the matter of like 3 minutes. That was extremely impressive, sir.
I'm going to need a lesson on what second person references are. I don't actually think I know.
So as Florida, we, and I. I wasn't an English major. I'm pretty terrible at English, but I'm just going to roll with that because it was pretty funny.
As an engineering major, I'm not going to pretend to be an English major over here. So
I think we're losing all of this, by the way.
You got me.
We're good. Shit.
All right, sorry about that. We got DC there, like we've seen in multiple games so far in the tourney. Just what are your thoughts on the overall bracket and how we got to this Final Four, and then we'll dig into these final two games.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. We have two members in the Final Four that are 1 seeds that kind of held serve all the way through, and 2 underdogs, the 7 seed and the 4 seed, make it through. And each side of it's going to have a 1 seed versus an underdog. And so you never know. We could have 2 underdogs in the championship game or 2 number 1 seeds. It can go any which way. But no, overall, myself being the seeding committee, I think we did a pretty good job in terms of seeding teams. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of not knowing anything about teams or players. So it was a lot of fun, and it still continues to be a lot of fun. And hopefully nobody feels too jaded about where they were put.
You're getting a little laggy here.
Oh, well, luckily the recording is following me, so it wasn't laggy to the viewers.
Good deal.
Sounds good.
You probably all just made silly faces.
We did.
Yeah, I think this was a great tournament overall up to this point. I think it will continue to be the final 3 games or whatever. So a lot of really good upsets, just like any March Madness bracket. I don't think anyone that could have predicted this all the way through would have gotten to this Final Four, just because, like Ryan said, the unknowns. I will say from a Ohio State perspective, I'm at least satisfied with the fact that we beat Michigan yet again for the 19th time out of the last 25 years or 20 years or whatever it is. So we will continue to be Michigan's father on that front. And although next go around, hopefully we have a little bit better performance in the rounds after that. So
I think we've had an interesting road here. Even with the 1 seeds that have made it this far, pretty easy first round matchups. But since then, in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, tested both times, both 1 seeds. So very deep bracket here with a lot of unknowns as far as some of these coaches, some of these users. And then we've got, the Cinderella story in South Carolina, who's actually came out of nowhere and absolutely will not be a 7 seed in the next time this tournament gets played. And then we've got Wisconsin, who's also had an interesting route here, beating 2 good users along the way, as far as I know. And then probably would have come out ahead against OSU. Would like to see that game played, but here they are in the Final Four, and it is what it is. So 2 good matchups with, we've had some unique matchups along the way. And here in the Final Four, we've got 2 matchups that are played every single year, I believe. I have to look at how the Big Ten set up, but these are every year matchups as far as I know. So yeah, it's a great Final Four, great teams, and it's gonna be a fun week.
All right, let's get these coaches on the line and get the game breakdown from their perspective and maybe a little bit of trash talk. All right, we're back after another DC. On the phone now, live from Madison, Wisconsin. We've got Sweet Caroline 16 to talk a little bit about his matchup with Okie State, and then we're going to get a little talk between Coach RTM and the Huskers and the Badgers. So, Sweet Caroline, what's going on, man?
What's going on, y'all? Thanks for having me in. Number one, if you can really call last week a matchup, I think I blinked and the game was over. But we sent a guy up to the opposing sidelines, and we checked on the other coach, saw the Gatorade fell a little early, and we were wondering what was going on. And lo and behold, it was actually not Gatorade, but Jungle Juice. And then coach himself broke his headset. So we had to call it a doozy on that one. But it was a fun game for the 7 minutes that we played it. But for those of you that were tuning into the Twitch stream, it didn't take me a full 7 minutes to run the score up pretty quickly. The one successful thing for Okie State, I'd have to say, would be their second defensive stand after they lost the ball. They prevented me from being able to get past the 50-yard line, so I had to punt it. But then immediately afterwards is when he threw that interception that he posted about inside of the TexAgs thread. And then we took it 14-0. And at that point in time, he just went ahead and euthanized himself at that point. So yeah, on to bigger and better things. I would say for this upcoming game against Nebraska, we have faced a similar opponent before. I would have to say that Texags man, when I played him last, he was running with the A&M squad, and I ran with Auburn. And I think that he can attest to this. That was not a close game when he and I matched up. Again, all in good fun, but I think that his statement last night was correct. It's going to be a really fun one to watch between myself and Nebraska. And I hope that I'm not coming in too overconfident, because we're ready to blow the brakes off of him if we can. With that being said, though, it's not too difficult to take notice of where his desired play calling is at. And we've made our team meetings focused in on that specific capacity, and we'll leave it at that.
So I want to interject here. Just so we're clear, Texas man played in the tournament with Texas, but played you in a practice game with Texas A&M. Is that right?
That's correct. So
conflict of interest
at the start of the COVIDs, I tuned into one of his games that he tweeted about on his personal Twitter account, and it was for one of y'all's dynasty games. And then ultimately I slid into the DMs and I was like, hey man, let me run a game with you, just because I could always use some extra practice. And he's actually the reason why I'm even in this tournament to begin with, was through his invitation. But yeah, just wanted to kind of gauge what my competition level would be like before this even happened. And yeah, that was not close, and that was definitely in favor of myself.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So Ryan, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, no, I have not seen, I think, but 2 plays that Wisconsin's ran in this tournament. So videos kind of few and far between, knowing that, there was about 7 minutes worth of video against Oklahoma State, and that was promptly deleted by the Oklahoma State.
I was going to say it's not available for redistribution at this point.
No, so we have a film problem here in Lincoln, Nebraska. But that being said, it'll be a fun game. I mean, I've played against the Michigan State user before, and you were able to come out victorious 28-24 in that one. So that's enough to know that you're a good player, and it's going to be a good game, and that you can't take anything lightly. Anybody who can get to the Final Four deserves to be there, because you've won 3 games at this point, however they happened. So
absolutely,
it'll be a good game. And based on what the scores indicate, we play kind of similar in terms of 20s to 30s ball game in terms of points. We're not going to go crazy in the 50s or 60s looking at you, Florida. But it's going to be a fun game that's probably going to come down to a 3 or 4 point victory for whoever comes out on top.
I would agree.
Yeah, I am really, really looking forward to this game. I love the confidence on the Wisconsin side, and you're going to need it coming into this one. The win versus Texas man cannot be understated, because he is a good user. And your win against Michigan State, against another good user, who I would say is pretty dang good in our dynasties, shows a lot. I think you're going to need your A+ game coming into this one. I think
it's good
Ryan
Matters has 2 of those.
That's right. That's right.
Or 1. I don't know how to count.
I think man, it's going to be a great game. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be an entertaining stream, regardless of who streams it. I think it was a good idea bringing you in here to talk about this one, because this is going to be a fun game, and excited to see who comes out of this one.
There will be red.
Yes.
There will be red.
Do we have a tentative kickoff time? We're talking prime time weekend. We're talking Sunday night football. What are we thinking about here?
So
we haven't talked about it at all.
Yeah, we haven't talked. I'll be honest.
No
I have a little bit of a conflict with the weekend, just due to the fact that the old ball coach has a family member graduating. We're doing a post graduation in College Station, so I'll reach out to the Nebraska coach and we'll see what works best for us. But don't be surprised if this game gets played within the next, I would say, maybe 48 to 52 hours.
52 is very specific.
It is very specific.
Yeah,
talking about a 1 a.m., 2 a.m. kind of game.
Big Ten after dark, baby.
I'm here for it.
Said no one ever.
Big Ten appreciates their 6 p.m. time, 8 p.m. finish games.
Well, I mean, if we get you to rage quit, it'll be over by 6:30.
It's possible. It's possible. You missed it out a little bit early. we were talking about the strategy of keeping something soft near your where you play Xbox so that you had something soft to throw the controller against. So we're already ready. We're already prepared.
There you go. Well,
I'm looking
awesome.
forward to this matchup. It should be a ton of fun. Yeah, I think it's going to.
Which way?
I don't make predictions.
He's the host.
That's for me. I'm here for the wild predictions. Wisconsin, I think you've had a great run, but I think it comes to an end in the Final Four. I'm calling a touchdown, probably 6-point favorite Nebraska here, and I don't think that this one is going to come down to the wire. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way, but I'm calling for a 6-point Nebraska win here. But it's going to be a great one, and I think it's going to be a typical football score kind of game. It's not going to be a video game score like me and Auburn had, but I'm looking forward to it either way. I think it's going to be a great one.
Badger poison.
I'll put the disconnects over under 1.5. I don't know. Hammering the over on that one. I played a game once against Coach RTM that had 7 disconnects in it. So
yeah, if we're putting it at 1.5, I'm hammering
way over. Yes.
Hammering that over.
So yeah, patience may be required, but it should be a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're back here to talk about this Florida-South Carolina game. Unfortunately, the South Carolina coach laid an egg and couldn't show up. No, he just had a conflict with work. But having played him, I can say that obviously he's a very, very strong team. Looking forward to seeing what happens here. And we've got Cody to talk about the Gators. So before we get to the coaches, what do you guys think about this matchup?
Yeah, no, I think this is the Cinderella story that we've said multiple times in South Carolina, taking on the best offense in the tournament. So it's going to be a really interesting game. I have no idea if the score is going to be high or low. It's probably going to come down to South Carolina's defense versus Florida's offense, and it's going to be fun to watch. And I'm hoping that Cody is streaming because I'm going to be really excited to see his frustration come out live on Twitch so we can all enjoy it just a little bit because I know it's going to be the same thing with me in my Final Four game. So, really looking forward to it, and I don't really know who's going to come out victorious.
Yeah, this is a toss-up for me. I think it'll be really interesting to see how the adjustments take place from game to game and in game. These guys never played each other. There's not a lot of film out there on South Carolina, so there's not a lot of pre-game study that can take place from the Florida side. So, it'll be a lot of in-game adjustments for Cody and how he can adjust to this very unique defense. But the same thing goes for South Carolina. He's never seen an offense like this, at least in this tournament, while using South Carolina. So, I can't wait to watch this one. I think it'll be really good. I expect this stream that Cody has to be R-rated. So,
very nice.
Sweet Carolina won't get off the phone, so here he is.
Hey, I mean, if we can't get the other guy to show up, I'm more than happy to stick around. But I mean, just taking a look at the previous 2 streams for both of these guys, I think I would second everything that's been said so far. From an interested parties perspective, a Badger versus some corn, not worried about that. So we'll move on to next week. I would much rather face a chicken than a gator as the Badger myself. But I do think that Florida's going to come out on top of this. That offense is too high powered for pretty much anybody other than myself to stop.
Really quick, before we go on further, what is your take on eating string on corn?
Oh, it needs to be removed.
Okay.
Absolutely. 100%.
You might say there needs to be no strings attached.
Walked straight in my trap. Nebraska's going to have all the strings removed.
All right, so I'll hop into it. So one of the funny things that's came out of this is I probably wasn't going to do too much scouting, but if I were to choose to do so, wouldn't be possible. I believe South Carolina streamed all their games so far, and they've deleted every single video that they've streamed so far. So scouting wouldn't actually be possible. I really wasn't planning on it, but I kind of wanted to see what the talk about this defense is, because I haven't actually got to watch too much of their games. I watched a little bit of the Louisville game, got to see what people are talking about, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I think the biggest takeaway for me is the fact that they beat who I expected to come out of the East bracket in Louisville. I don't know if that was more to do with Louisville not having the personnel that they're used to, the Louisville coach not having the personnel that they're used to with their teams. But regardless, he's obviously a good user, played this game quite a bit. He knows how to play this game. He knows how to play it in a way that's not typical football. He knows how to play it in a way to play the game well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm expecting to come out on top. I really don't know how. I don't have too much to say about this one, honestly, because they've beat users that have beat me before. I know playing the Louisville coach, we're probably about 500 against each other. So we'll see how it goes, but I may be a little overconfident going into this game, but I expect to win. But in either scenario, my stream probably will be pretty entertaining.
Well, I will say that the Louisville, South Carolina game, if anything, may have favored Louisville in terms of a little bit of fate. Where there was a lot of dropped interceptions by South Carolina that kept that game closer than maybe it should have been. So
I counted 6 total. I think that was, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was running up the count on the stream, just kind of watching them happen one by one. But
yep.
I think it's going to be a great game, and he's going to present problems to you, like you said, with that defense that you haven't necessarily faced before that may or may not hurt you depending on how that matchup plays out. So I could see anything from a 14-point victory on either side. Like, there's a huge range in which the outcomes could happen here.
I will just say, if I start losing because of some cheesy defense, I will become vulgar quickly. So it's probably something you want to tune into.
Well, I mean, that was me against Stanford. I think I got a little flustered when he kept on running the same 4 plays over again, and I just couldn't stop it to save my life. So yeah. We've all been there, I promise.
Yeah.
We'll save the cheese for the Badgers.
Badgers don't scare anyone. I would take a Gamecock over a Badger, I think.
Ooh. Oh, spicy take.
Ooh.
Spicy.
I mean, depends on what kind of Gamecock we're talking about, but if it's kind of the ones that, the man of the house that run the roost, I'll take a Gamecock. I also know nothing about Badgers, so I probably shouldn't be talking.
Well, the honey variety, they don't care.
Well, are you the honey badgers? No, you're just the regular tame, regular badgers.
You're building dams is what you're doing.
Those are beavers.
That is Oregon State.
Oh, beavers. That's right.
Are you thinking
that's
of
right.
a beaver?
Right.
I think they already got eliminated or didn't show up or something.
They didn't show. They weren't invited to this tournament.
No,
they weren't. No.
Oregon State
this is
will be in the
Wendy's.
64-team tournament, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a 1, 2 1s, a 7, and a 4. If Cinderella can be left to the ball, Cinderella could be a Badger or a Cock. It's 2020.
Cinderella's clock.
Really exciting.
Cinderella's clock is going to run out. It's going to
so?
strike
All right.
midnight. It's striking midnight. Probably sometime around the first quarter. I expect the Cinderella story to end in not so happy ending.
Well,
have you talked to the network about when this game could air?
This game will be airing Wednesday night, March 10th at 8 p.m. roughly. It will be streamed either on Twitch, if I can get that to work, or Periscope. South Carolina may stream as well. I don't really want to. I want everybody to be watching the same stream, but I would almost guarantee you that it will not be as entertaining as my commentary.
No, I think we need Cody a couple beers in.
Dual streams.
Adam, go to the Final Four bracket if you can. Please. Okay, so I want to make everyone pick the winners except for your own games. There's 3 of us that are in one of the games, but everyone has to pick the opposite game. So we'll start with Adam. Who do you think is going to win both of the games?
On the spot. So
we did not pregame this on the spot.
We did not pregame this. I'm going to go. I've played everyone, but obviously the Badgers. This is tough. These are good teams. I'm going to go, because I'm a giant baby, I'm going to go chalk. I'm taking the ones on both. No offense, but sometimes you just got to put money where Vegas thought the money should go.
Gotcha. Chris, what do you think?
I can't go away from chalk on this one. I've played enough versus Cody and Ryan to know where they stand. I've had a few practice games against South Carolina, and although I think he was dogging it a little bit against me, I think Cody has the upper hand on that offense. So I'm going that route.
So I'll go next. I think you guys are sleeping on Wisconsin a little bit. I think that's going to be a good game. It's going to be tight all the way down to the end. So
I didn't say wouldn't be a close game. I just think Nebraska comes out ahead.
And that's fair. I think I just think it's going to be close, and it's going to be a really fun game to watch. The Florida South Carolina game has the potential to break into the point where the fourth quarter is not necessarily a nail biter based on the way these teams run offenses. One team can easily get 2 scores ahead. I don't think that's happening in Wisconsin and Nebraska. No. I think it's going to be tight the whole way. As to the other game, I'm going to piss Cody off and say I'm going to pick South Carolina to pull the upset and win, probably on an interception that Cody throws and breaks a controller. I'm predicting chaos on the stream is what I'm predicting.
Well, Cody, I have an extra controller if you need it, so just let me know if you're into breaking it.
Well, Cody and I live walking distance from each other, really, so I can always bring in mine.
If that ends up coming to fruition the way Brian has talked about, then yeah, I'll probably be needing a new controller. Maybe a new TV as well. I think Adam can help me out with that.
A new controller might help your kicking game though, so it could be beneficial long term.
Yeah, that's something we're not talking about enough.
All right, what do you guys think on the other games that you're not part of?
Well, we got to get Luke. We got to get Wisconsin's opinion on this.
It's all good. Picking the first game, Florida versus South Carolina, just off of what I've seen, I don't think that it's going to be a super stretched out score like the rest of y'all have been predicting. I think it will be a close finish, but I do think that Florida sneaks this one out. I'm a little biased just because I've listened to Florida trash us all season, and we're ready to get a little bit of revenge cooking in the pot. So I want to see that Florida-Wisconsin matchup, obviously. But the nice thing here is that even if you do break your controller, Ryan's going to be fine. Nebraska's going to be fine. He's not going to be playing in the next game, so he can sit there with you and help you.
It's a fair point.
I love it.
Cody, you got to go.
You guys have given your opinions. Ryan, we'll table that for next week. On that note, I think Nebraska wins this. I think Nebraska wins their matchup. I think Wisconsin has proven a lot on their side of the bracket. I don't think they're prepared enough for what's coming from Nebraska. I think Wisconsin is going to put up a good fight. I think it'll be a close game going into the fourth quarter. I expect Nebraska to pull away on an incredibly frustrating interception, probably a user pick that doesn't even seem remotely likely at the time when you throw that pass, and then it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But I expect Nebraska to win a close one-possession game.
You would think that we're playing 13 players on defense the way you're talking about us when we haven't tackled anybody all tournament long. So we'll see what happens.
Having played you enough, I would it's going to be an interception right up the middle. You think you got this pass right up the seam, and then his safety comes from the opposite side of the field and just picks it off.
So that's
you thought
the thing.
You were open.
You're going to have to expect me to throw on the seam. I may just.
You don't even have to throw on. It's man.
It might just be the quarterback kneel all game. 2-0.
I think it's going to be a late turnover that seals it for Nebraska. I would even go as far as to say I could see Wisconsin on a game-winning drive with a critical, heartbreaking turnover with about a minute left.
We've seen it
There's
before.
one thing that Wisconsin's done this season. It's come from behind and really pounded into the end zone.
That's true. I'm just channeling my inner Nostradamus here.
And
there's one thing that if we could ask of you Big Ten guys, can you not change the rules before we get to the end of this? Because
Ohio State's not involved, so I think we're okay.
It's true.
Well, I think the wrong OSU is being criticized here. We had an OSU team only play 7 quarters in this tournament and make it to the Elite Eight. So,
well, that
or 6
Oklahoma,
quarters.
That
the
Oklahoma
other
State
OSU had a
team,
full 4.
Yeah.
The other OSU had a full 4 quarters to not have that happen.
To not do that.
I understand that.
It's a pretty good own goal there, Chris.
Well, now that we're 40 some odd minutes into this, there's about 3 people watching this, and 2 of them are your parents, Adam. So,
or my mom, yeah.
No, your mom and your brother. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks, guys. These games, we know one will be tomorrow night, hopefully, and on Periscope and maybe Twitch both, for all we know. And we'll try to get another one scheduled soon and set up our grand championship. If you're not playing in the consolation bracket, get those scheduled. I need to schedule mine, so no stones in my glass house. But let's get some more games to watch. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.